here with head coach Josh Persinger, who's been a head coach at Clay High since 2015 and has been at the high school since 1999.
Yes, sir.
So obviously Clay High has been a big part of your life. So just try to start from the beginning, like coming here as a freshman.
Yeah, so I think just like every other 15-year-old, 14-year-old at the time, you're nervous. What's high school going to be like, and all those different things. It's as simple as trying to open a locker and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't play baseball in 7th grade. I got cut in 8th grade at Green Cove. Obviously, just like a lot of us, I think yourself included, is what we always wanted to do. So coming in, big school, just nervous and just kind of normal, just like any other kid. Obviously when you're 14, you don't set out and say, hey, I'm never going to leave this place. So it's kind of started out just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm. And then not just the school in general, but the baseball program, like what just made you fall in love with this place?
Just really everything that Clay baseball is about. Coach Thompson, he was, as a freshman, on the field, he's there for you. And then off the field, I remember my junior year, I was heavy, and he basically said, "You want to play college baseball?" I said, "Yes." He said, "You're fat, can't get away with that anymore." But it's more than that. He said, that's not what they're looking for, and all that kind of stuff. You've got the skills. Just now we've got to fix the body, and and a lot of times people will tell you those things, and they say, "All right, see you when you get back." Him and I ran, so I was a kid that didn't want to run the mile in gym. To him and I would meet, 5 days a week. We'd meet, and then we'd run 6 to 7, 8. One time we ran 9 miles together. He's dragging me. Come on, boy, let's finish. That kind of thing. So just that. I had a great family at home, still do. But Clay High School was kind of that extended family. Coach Thompson was always there when we needed it. And it was just like I want to be part of that.
So kind of talk about obviously you did end up getting a chance to play college ball. So kind of talk about that transition from high school player to now.
Yep. So my college career is a little different than some of the guys we play against. I had an opportunity to walk on at St. John's. I was there down in Placa for the fall. At that time, the coach asked me to redshirt, and I did. But I came back here and helped starting coach. And kind of my goal was to maybe see what else was out there, type of thing. And then I never left. So early in my coaching career, in circles, like, oh, I played here and I played there, and so kind of always made me a little nervous about, okay, am I going to be good enough for this type of job, and then I realized, different opportunities, but I had some pretty good ability playing baseball, but I just kind of had a knack for coaching it, and I do believe I probably could have went up north and played in a smaller school. Junior college baseball in Florida is really, really good. So maybe I wasn't to that caliber, but probably could have played somewhere else. But I just then it felt like what's going on now. 20 years later, like God knew what he was doing. I'm here for a reason.
And it was about 11 years as assistant head coach, or just an assistant coach in general. So when it came your time, what kind of, they talk about you end up taking the mantle over Coach Thompson.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was, Thompson would always, I helped out for the first couple years. And then, I remember him and I having several conversations like, I'm not going to be here forever. I really think, he kind of started to see some leadership and, kind of, I think early on, he kind of basically like, hey, this is who I'm going to pass the torch down to. So we were close in high school. Him and I got, really close through coaching with him and that kind of stuff, and really mentored me. And he continued to give me roles as it went on. And as it got closer, he would give me, he was preparing. He said, hey, this is what we got to do to make sure it's you, and that kind of thing. So he would, allow me to start doing some things. I was, heavily involved in, the off the field type stuff, like the golf tournament. And, he always asked me about the lineups, and the last year or two he let me coach third, so he was kind of building me up for that, and preparing me for the next step.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about year one. How would you overall, looking back all those years later, how did you feel like you did during your first year? Yeah, so I tell people this all the time. As an assistant, I think I knew more than any assistant because of what Coach Thompson let me do. I felt like, especially from the baseball side, making lineups, buses, all this kind, the day-to-day kind of stuff. And I did help him in the office, turning money in and all that kind of stuff with the bookkeeper and all that. So I knew I didn't know everything, but I felt like I knew, quite a bit. And then first year, I'm like, I didn't know anything. And I'm sure it's like that in most jobs, but it's crazy, looking back, just, getting through it. But, similar to this year,
2014, Coach Thompson's last year, we lost the state championship, with a really, really good team and graduated our entire starting team. I had one returner. So people were excited. The old ball coach is gone. All their great players are gone. Clay baseball is dead, and that was very motivating because as a first year coach, you want to make sure that you're putting your stamp on it, and the kids kind of the same thing. They wanted to put their stamp on it, and there was some growing pains. Those kids were not nearly as talented as the 2014, so they kind of thought they were going to roll the ball out there and just go win, and they realized early, like, no, those guys were good because they worked their butts off, So it was exciting. Ended up winning a district championship against some really good teams. We had Ridgeview in there in the mix. Coach Scrumwell did a good job, and then Coach Tom Stanton is he's got a state championship under his belt. So able to beat them late in the season. That was so we had some milestones right away.
Mm-hmm. And just like with your years as the head coach of the program, like what do you think you've like really built on from Coach Thompson kind of showing you the way?
Yep. So I remember I actually had this conversation the other day. Coach Thompson always said, if your kids believe you love them, they'll run through a brick wall. So kind of just took that and ran with it, and just really made sure that, and that extends not just to Thompson and school, but, that my family at the house, my parents, my grandparents, always, very giving people, loving. I remember my grandma, she was nanny to everybody in the neighborhood. So basically, if she met you, you were one of hers, and that kind of thing. And, kids would leave their house because they stubbed their knee and come down there, so just kind of that taking care of people and all that kind of stuff. And kind of a cool story, we had a new coach come over and help out who hasn't been part of the program. And, one of the first things he said, he just kind of was like, Coach, these kids will do anything for you, and you kind of think it's like that everywhere, but those are the trophies. Obviously we've got some trophies in the other room of stuff we've done on the field, but like to have someone outside of the program come in and just, the things that I believe in, and for him to kind of say those, like that's, we're doing okay, that kind of thing.
You think like the whole the family atmosphere, like I know like your dad's very important. I mean, he helped build like this clubhouse we're in. He built the backstops. Just how important is your dad for you? Yeah,
100%. I brag all the time. You get me all choked up. He would come home from work, and I know now because I'm an adult, but he'd come home and work 8-10 hours a day, and he wouldn't even go inside. We'd play catch. Up until my nephew was born, who he helps raise him when my brother's in school. So up until my nephew was born, he was still at concession stand every single game. He's still he didn't miss one game when I was growing up. He hasn't really missed many games as a coach. So it was just kind of that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. And then just with the program now, like what's like the true evolution you've seen just in the boys? Because obviously when I was in school, it's different than how they are now.
Right.
And then even past me, like those guys are so much different. So like, what do you see differently from?
Yeah, it's kind of cool. You get to see, like you said, that evolution. And I think it's kind of a running joke now. Like I'm the history book for clay baseball from the year 2000 all the way up to now. I can go back. Freshman year, this happened. My sophomore year, Tony's 10th grade years when such and such did that. And it's cool because it's on the field stuff, but it's like, oh, that's the time that Brent Morgan jumped and hit his head on the scoreboard. What was that? Probably 2008 or 2007. Jumps and hits his head on the scoreboard, and his forehead's bleeding before the game. It's like you just get to see all those things. And it's definitely been a change. And I think education and in general. But the good ones kind of keep up with the times. And they are different. But once we get out here on the field, when we're doing our drills and we're having our conversations and we're working hard, like I think baseball, clay baseball, it's kind of been that one constant. Like as much as it's different, it's really not, so they dress a little different, act a little different, but when it gets down to it, same core values.
Like where do you see the program in 5 years? Just from like a player standpoint, facilities, like that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So I pride myself on trying to, Coach Thompson said this place better be a lot better when I leave it because, he mentored me. He wanted me to pick it up where he left off and then expand. If this place looked exactly as did when he left, he would feel like he didn't do his job, preparing me and that kind of thing. So he's always involved in all these things. But like you said, we put a new backstop in. We built the clubhouse. We did a cage renovation last year. It's as good or better than a lot of colleges around there. And if we have a chance to, these kids work so hard. So if we have a chance to be great, we're going to be great. On the field, off the field, showing up on time is important. Those types of things. one of the things that we've really gotten, and you were kind of part of that transition when you were here, but I wanted to incorporate lifting, back in 2015, and we kind of lifted. We did, a couple little, we lifted bench press and some squats and stuff like that. But, over the years, that's one of the things that I've really tried to study. Like I know shoulders pretty well now, and, our lifts have kind of, moved in the, the positive direction. Last year's seniors were kind of when they were freshmen is when we really took that turn in the weight room, and we hit, I think, 24 home runs as a program for a high school season. I think the previous record was like 12, 13, 14. So, I mean, we swung it pretty well. Didn't win the state championship, so there's some other things, but just kind of, getting bigger, getting stronger, kind of just as technology. We've bought some machines, or Rapsodo, so we can, kind of track what they're doing, So before the old days, it was like, well, you're swinging up. Now we can say, well, hey, you're swinging up at a, 22-degree angle or whatever. And when that's happening, I'm not all in on all the new technology. I think kind of a middle. Like I can incorporate
that's good.
Can incorporate the new school, but I still got that old school grind. So we can utilize that, and that's all technology is. It's a tool. So you don't live and die with it, but it's definitely a tool, and tools are there to help you.
Mm-hmm. And I want to end on this. Like, what is the clay way?
Man, so. Coach Moses has done a really good job of, he put it on paper, and it's actually it's migrated to the whole school. That's our creed every year.
And did baseball create that?
So, I think we might have. But it's just a catchphrase. And what's funny is I grew up a baseball fan, Orioles fan, as you know, and Cal Ripken was the Oriole way. And it's I think years ago I kind of just stole it from that, but. To give you an example, I read a book, and Cal Ripken talked about when he was younger, him and his brother and their dad were shoveling snow, and because we don't know about that, but up north that's a big deal. So they would shovel their driveway, and then they'd go shovel the neighbor's driveway, and they would be so mad that their dad was making them shovel the neighbor's driveway, and then they both played professional baseball, and they were rooming together. And they said they shoveled their driveway, and next thing they know, they're 2 hours in, and they're like 4 driveways down. And they just kind of looked at each other and smiled, and it was like, those were some things that were ingrained, leave it better than you found it. I don't care if we win by 10, lose by 10, the dugout's going to look better. When we get off the field, the umpires are going to say, man, I love the way your kids play. They just, they're in the game, they're competitive, but, you guys win, but, man, they're good kids and that kind of thing. And really, as the freshmen come in, Coach Chun, he's been part of the fall and helping us out, and kind of mentoring the kids. And he's big on the clay way. Garrett took the clay way to college and helped, I believe, helped FSCJ. Go on a run. They went to a national championship and all that kind of stuff. So we can kind of try and define it, but it's like there's always that time in the season, when the new guys come in and, they figure it out and, they do everything right. Instead of complaining to each other, they're pulling for each other. And, it's, hey, you got to catch that ball to, hey, you got it, no worries. And just kind of pulling for each other and all that kind of stuff. And then we come out and we beat a team we shouldn't. And it's like, now, like I think it's more of a feeling than it is, words.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for taking your time out of the day to come talk to me.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Always a pleasure.
And thank you for watching.